everybody. Welcome to the Download Youth Ministry web show, episode 238. This is a very, very special show. Doug Fields here with Matt McGill, the star of the show, the co-host of the show, Josh Griffin, or the non-host, and the special guest, Jessica, the Reverend Jessica Torres.
Jessica Torres, the Right Reverend.
She's a Reverend. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. You're a licensed minister, aren't you?
A licensed minister of the Lord and the church.
There you go. That's good. Well, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Katie is in Rwanda.
Yes, she is.
And we said, let's ask Jessica. And I said, let's ask Jessica. And Josh said,
Why didn't you ask Jessica to be on the show before Katie? So you're saying she's
fair question.
Not second team, just... I'm not even sure Jessica was around when Katie got on the show.
That might be true.
Why don't you introduce Jessica?
Jessica
she works with you.
Is the number 2 on our student ministries team. She's an amazing youth pastor. Great.
Are you saying you're the number 1?
I'm saying I'm the number one. That's right.
Oh, did you ever hear about the show where he said he's the hardest working youth pastor?
He says a lot of things.
I think I saw that.
He says he's the host of the show too, and he's
I would argue that I am.
He's yet to ever prep a show.
He would love to be the Barbara Walters.
You know what?
I would love to.
Here's the deal. He just likes the camera more than nobody looks into the camera.
Wait,
like Josh.
so what we're saying is that this is the Kill Josh show? Is that the name of the show already?
Introduce Jessica.
Jessica is an amazing youth worker. Originally served at a church up in L.A. Went to Biola University. Wonderful
Bible
school.
Institute of Los Angeles.
Little Bible Institute of Los Angeles. Very good. And has served by running our entire volunteer ministry, running our entire life group ministry. She has owned huge chunks of the ministry through a very, very tumultuous time. That tumultuous time is me being in charge of it.
Right.
And
being number 1.
That's right. And she has served so faithfully, indispensable. If she ever leaves the church that I'm serving in, I will leave with her.
Oh, wow.
So let it be written.
Wow.
Yeah, you better don't leave until July because he really wants to get to his 10-year.
Oh, perfect.
Deal. Yeah,
perfect.
10 years just feels like a nice round number.
Hey, do you know, Jessica, one, we're thrilled to have you. Do you know this show is powered by Youth Specialties? So,
I had heard the rumor.
yeah, it means they pay more than the other sponsors who actually pay, which is unbelievable.
We love them.
Not
We love all
much,
of our
but
sponsors.
we have drinks on their behalf. Leader Trex, who we love maybe the
Love
most
Leader
because
Trex.
they provide stuff for our monthly membership at DYM. Youth Ministry 360, they're kind of snobs. They got snowed in.
What do you mean they're snobs?
Did you see the video?
No.
They got snowed in.
I saw their email.
They're in Alabama.
Yep. A lot of snow there.
A lot of snow.
Yeah.
They helicoptered from Youth Ministry 360 into their neighborhood.
That is awesome.
Somebody on their board. It is true. Somebody on their board had a helicopter.
Flew them in.
in.
Well, there you go.
We need those people on our board.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
no,
all
we
I
need
know.
to actually just increase what YM360 is paying us.
I agree.
But they do great curriculum. We like them a lot. One of these days we're going to do something together.
Good friends, good
And
people.
Azusa Pacific University is also a sponsor.
great place.
Yeah.
Much
there you
better
go.
than Biola.
Yeah, that was
Absolutely.
your...
Hey,
there you
I
go.
knew he was going to bring that up.
You could feel it.
I don't have a lot of Biola.
Speaking of Leader Trex, we have not said this in a long time that Leader Trex is actually giving, Seth, right? They're giving a
That's not really part of the
17%
game right now.
17% discount if you just use the code DYM.
There you go.
It used to be the code YM Garage and it was 15% discount. They've bumped it up. 17% discount.
Out with the old and with the new.
Less
with
letters on the
DYM
code,
for
more
Leader
discount.
Trex.
Easy.
And I'm going to actually be visiting Leader Trex
That's good.
next month, which I'm excited
That's
about.
cool.
So,
Congratulations
before we move
to Dan Barber. Dan Barber won our contest.
What contest did we have?
Remember one of the shows when Josh and I had to go to the bathroom so bad and we came back in and Josh had his shirt on backwards. We said,
Right.
if you can guess what's different, and you shouted it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, I shouted it out before you said, guess what's different.
Yeah, but that's why we did it.
That's the way the
But
story-
Dan won.
That's the way
Congratulations.
the
Dan.
historical.
A
Got
lot
a
of
free
lot of
resource.
people didn't win, but Dan got a free resource. We have Ronald Long, one of our DYM authors, says, "Are any of you guys going to the Dallas YS team training? Are you doing Dallas YS team
not.
training?
No.
Okay, YSteamtraining.com. Josh and I are doing Chicago.
Chicago will be fun.
Do we have any DYM members? We could go out to dinner.
We'd love to get some
on
corn
Friday
dogs
night.
or steak or something. One of those two.
Corn dogs.
You never know. They're cheap.
Steak dogs.
Okay,
He just
so
wants to give the financial spectrum of the ability of
Yeah.
a youth worker to
You
pay.
never know.
that's exactly
Steak
right.
or a corn
The
dog.
other day, we were at a doctor's appointment, and the doctor's like, it's right over by Houston's, the steakhouse. She's referring us to somewhere, and I'm like,
Never been there.
Never been
Can't
there.
You've
afford
never
it.
been to Houston's?
no.
It's right by Ruth's Chris.
Yeah. Also, never
Out of your
been there.
budget.
Yeah,
You've
I'm
never
sorry.
been to
I'm a youth
Ruth's
worker.
Chris?
It's also right by California Pizza Kitchen.
Been there.
Been there.
Closer.
And Starbucks.
$11.99.
Okay, so before
Got
we
it.
move into questions,
Oh, gosh.
come on.
Matt is dying to get in right now. What's up?
Well, and I'm being so respectful, huh? Can't get a word
As
edgewise
the star of the
around
show,
here.
he does deserve a moment, guys.
Thank you. Okay, so what's annoying about Josh's leadership?
What isn't annoying? It'd be a smaller list.
Well, I have a former employee behind the scenes here too that could attest
could help
to some
add
of
to
these
the list?
things.
Wow. Look at
Whoa.
I've actually prepared something.
Almost 5 years in.
That's a long time.
We worked
He's-
together every day for 5 years. That's
Every day
incredible.
together for 5
No
years.
Sabbaths, huh?
The fact
Way
that
to
I'm
go.
still alive
Maybe
is
that's the problem.
a miracle. Well, no, believe it or not, he really is. He's the real deal. I've never felt more supported, more loved, more encouraged.
So
as
nothing negative
I
at all
have.
to add.
Well,
There's no
I
way-
want to
we
keep
could
my
just-
job.
We can
so-
just end it right there. That feels.
Let's
go.
provide a little bit of
Yes.
hope. Let's provide a little bit of
Thank
hope
you.
for our
Well,
audience
let's
out
bring
there.
some of your former employees in.
Yeah.
We talk about my fault. That's the topic of every show.
That
I
is-
got-
that
we
is
have a
the
t-shirt.
show.
I got kids. You can't say, okay, well, if we're going to just...
No, everybody
We're gonna
has.
skip over
Everybody
that.
has
Okay,
stuff. You go ahead. You go
sometimes
ahead.
he-
Okay,
Come on,
that's all
yeah,
you
give
want
us
to
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't
Give us some dirt.
I'm also known as like
No
the
dirt.
dream crusher in our ministry, and sometimes
Some of
someone.
us, the world needs
Thank
that.
you. Sometimes Josh
You're the
will be
life
like,
crusher.
World wrecker.
Yeah.
The can
Sometimes
crusher.
Josh
Okay,
needs
you're known as the dream
sometimes
crusher.
we'll have these brainstorming meetings, and I am thinking, what can we afford? How
Right,
can we really
right.
practically make this happen? And Josh is like, what if we put this person in a squirrel suit and we throw them off the top of the worship center?
I'm
Right,
in. I'm in.
right.
And that will attract the masses, and then they'll just meet the Lord. And I'm
Amen.
like, no, what are you talking about?
Right,
So
right.
his spirit of dreaming is both inspirational, but sometimes I'm like,
Perspirational.
that too.
Okay.
But sometimes I get a little like, okay, let's get back to Earth. What's happening here? Where
That's
are we
good. I
going?
can identify
but
with that. I had many years
But
of
he's a
that
dreamer,
myself.
and I am not, and
Right.
we are a great combination.
Well, and I would
in
say
that way.
that's
Who
the
needs dreams?
It's a both
Reality
and,
is
though.
interesting enough.
But that's, I mean, I appreciate that about him. So.
Right.
Thank you. Well, I
is a
appreciate
good
you
one.
crushing
That's
my
good.
dreams. Is that a good?
That's you need that. You need
You
to
need
be
a dream
grounded.
crusher.
Just-
Everyone
See,
needs a
that
dream
wasn't
Once in a
so
while.
hard. We weren't looking for anything mean.
Any
but,
dirt?
You know, I mean, a lot of you look at Josh and you think, perfect. youth.
Male
No
model.
one can
That's
be this
right.
perfect.
No one could be as good as this guy. And so there you go.
Sure, that's what everybody's
That's
thinking.
what everybody thinks.
Everyone's thinking, how did he get in that chair? I could do that. I could be the knucklehead on the
Maybe
show.
he's a little bit
They are.
vertically challenged.
I like to think of myself as the everyman.
You are the
Every
man's
the
man.
hardest
Every
working
man's man.
every man.
Every man's man.
Yeah, all you got to do is remember where Josh was before he came out here.
Yeah,
That's right.
enduring a hard situation for 7 years. That's
That's right.
incredibly difficult.
Being-
Who does that?
Being paid with hogs.
Being paid with bacon and ham
That's
and
right.
snowed in every Wednesday.
Wisconsin, do you
week.
know this? That
Yes.
sometimes in the tithe,
was
people would
Michigan.
bring pigs to
Wait,
the church.
Oh
really?
yeah, absolutely. Our freezer was so full. That's true. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's
That's
And
so
I
Bacon
actually, when I
and
started at the
delight.
church, I weighed like 150 pounds too. So it was a tough run.
Wait
Fourth
a minute,
grade.
where was it? Wisconsin?
grade.
Why do I always think Michigan?
Because
They're
you
really
don't, you
close.
don't listen.
It was Michigan.
Thank you. I was born in Wisconsin though.
Yeah.
Well, that's I knew there was.
But
a
I won't tell you
Wisconsin
where
town.
I was born because that might be a security password in my Yahoo or Gmail
That's
account.
the dumbest thing I ever heard in my
Have you
life.
heard that cackle before?
This cackle?
No,
This
Wait,
one,
this
the
one.
ear
He's got
piercing.
The
big
one that
cackle.
I'm now bleeding right here.
All right, we have
As soon as
questions.
you're not
Here we go.
Well,
Yeah.
John,
Here we go.
he
Old
doesn't
business.
give his last name, but he says, I'm a long-time listener, rewinder, and a DYM early adopter. Downloading all my swag from DYM is like Christmas come once a month.
Perfect.
It's referring to being a DYM.
I like that your notes were a
Perfect.
little happy face, by the way.
It's a great
Yeah.
That is
note.
really.
Yeah.
His notes.
you're
That is a
obviously
happy
great
note.
father.
Because here's what he says. Have to share a funny anecdote before my question. A few episodes ago, either Josh or Matt made a snarky comment.
Matt, probably.
Probably Matt, since it was a snarky comment. And Doug said,
Truthful
you
comment.
just made two people fall off their treadmills.
Right.
Well, I was running alongside the road while listening to this, so I couldn't fall off a treadmill, but I did fall into a ditch.
That's beautiful.
True story. At least I didn't get hit by a car.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then he doesn't get to a question.
Oh,
Oh,
That's
well,
beautiful.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
love
There
it.
you go.
And if you did, it didn't come out on my my printer.
Oh.
Hey, speaking of, it was the cackle that you said. I said you just made somebody fall off their
Bike, right?
their bike.
Thanks for bringing it back around.
There was a question from Joel Haldeman, who Joel says, I love the show. Haven't missed an episode since I started listening 2 years ago. Not so much a question, but an idea. And we do love your ideas. Because
they fall on deaf ears, but we do.
We don't get many ideas. No, we don't get many ideas. People just listen and send in questions. We want to know, how do we improve the show?
Right, 200 plus episodes in. Something's got to change once in a while.
Feels like we should get some feedback.
We're trying to get rid of Matt. It says, I listen with earbuds, and I noticed a problem. Your audio only comes through one side, the left channel. I thought it was funny that I noticed this on the episode where Doug declared this episode will not have any technical problems. I'm guessing your audio recorder is recording in mono. Hey, we've got two executives.
Look at all these geeks here right now.
That's the
They're
problem.
so bad.
There's got to be a mono setting on that camera.
For years we've been doing that.
Hand on hip means Parker's angry.
Yeah, Parker's mad. Seth is mad.
What was this person's name?
However, we have changed it, and it's been. Speaking of that channel, it's been dual channel.
It's what? Can you hear it? It's in both.
Yeah. What was that person's name?
Joel.
So either Parker's wrong or you're deaf in one ear.
Yeah, it could be.
I think
we have some bad news, bro.
Because here's what I did. This is exactly what I did, Jessica. I got this email. I sent it to these clowns, including Josh, and I said...
These clowns and Josh, you heard it.
I said...
Not a clown.
I said, is this guy right or is he crazy? And Josh wrote back and said, he's right.
All right, so but
you gotta have the same audio track on both ears. Yeah.
Now here's the thing. It's now fixed. So when they're listening to this show right now, it's fine.
I guarantee it's not fixed.
You guarantee?
No, I don't guarantee.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Outback? You gonna put Outback on it?
No.
Hey, we're going to Outback, guys.
Hey,
make sure it's fixed.
Put, like,
speaking of Bloomin' Onions, how's youthpastordiet.com going?
It's February.
Are you gearing up for another season?
Things happen. I'm thinking season 5 will be my season.
Is this season 4?
This is season 4.
When does it end?
Not till April 1st, April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
So it'll be. We still got time.
Well, at one point you were in third place.
I was in third place, and I was down 10 pounds, which is still good. I mean, I'm still right there, but it's not.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't. Didn't we say that we were going to give them some DYM stuff along the way?
Yeah.
Have you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once. Okay. I gave everybody $10. Oh. I know.
Wow. All right, thanks for asking the partners, huh?
Yeah, whatever.
Seriously.
I'm the hardest working partner. I'm sorry, I was so excited about that line. All right, questions. Here we go.
Yeah, when are we going to
This is Wes Hansen, DYM member and rewinder. I've recently started using round tables for our main youth program each week. Any tips for training adults or building elements into the program to help facilitate conversations and relationships? In other words, how do you maximize the effectiveness of tables to create a sense of community?
Well, if you just have a crappy sermon, people will talk during the message.
I know tables won't replace small groups, but it seems like they can be intentionally relational. Do you assign tables to a certain group or keep them forming fairly organic? Do you assign leaders to the same table each week and let kids choose which table they go to?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Oh, I love tables.
At least this side of the table, you and I are big fans of tables.
I love tables a lot. I mean, seriously so. I mean, when we were at when I was at a new ministry that didn't have tables, I mean, that was one of the first things we did. We
used to think that when we were doing our PDYM conference, that back in the day, we thought, boy, if we would have created a table, because everybody would come and see our youth program around tables and go, wow, tables. Yeah. And they were like, where do you get those? They wouldn't ask about, where do you get those tables?
That's awesome.
Well, and everybody knew who came into the ministry, whether it was new staff or new interns, especially the new interns that, they thought they knew everything in the world. It was great. It's like the tables, what's that mean? I still think I know everything. So I think tables are great. I think we did it a bunch of different ways. And I say it was all Douglas's ideas from the beginning that you actually had when I was in high school. I mean, we had tables when I was in high school back before youth ministry was invented. But we came to a point where people were thinking, gosh, the tables, it's a little too intimidating for some people. And so we had some rows. So we would have some rows. Yeah. We experimented. We would sometimes do them in the very front, which obviously that's also intimidating, but we would do them, on the side or in the middle or someplace where someone walked in the room. If they saw tables, they didn't want that. They could get what they wanted. Then there were some years that we went through a ton of work, and every table had schools assigned to it. So Trabuco Hills High School, they had 4 tables or 5 tables,
and the
school
colors were on the table.
And it was a total. It was a lot of setup for us to do. Doug Elliott was the Grand Master to do that most of the time. But the idea behind that was that someone would come into the room and they'd say, "Oh, there's my high school. I can at least kind of walk over there." And then leaders, that gave a great place for volunteers. Like if they were running a small group, or even if they were focused on a campus, they could be there and know that the kids they were talking to were, for the most part, kids that went to the school that they were focused on. But then many years we did it where there was no school, and you just kind of had to find your way. And what we had said for a long, long time is that the volunteers that worked the tables, it was the hardest ministry, hands down, because every week you're seeing new kids. Every week you're not running a small group where you're seeing the same kid 5 weeks in a row and they open up and you're praying and something serious. I mean, you're seeing different kids. It's almost like if you could last 2 months as a table leader, you were going to last 12 years, because you really saw the value in what you're doing. And, we had people bringing muffins and candy, and their table was the best because they had stuff. And so anyhow, that was just kind of a walk through history lane.
Yeah, but it also gave I think of a guy named Rob Vollmer.
Right.
I mean, Rob is a great guy. Doesn't have kids, 50 now, but, accountant type, financial advisor.
Yeah.
It wasn't like kids
Colts
are going,
fan.
"Man, you are the coolest 24-year-old. I'm going to sit at your table."
Right.
But his table was always full because he remembered everybody's name. Mm-hmm. A simple thing like he just brought some candy, but he actually pastored kids at his table. And so what would happen? It's kind of that idea that kind of the Cheers bar song. You go to a place where everybody knows your name. Mm-hmm. Rob knew everybody's name. Yeah. And so it kind of collected some loner type kids that didn't come with friends, but they knew that here's a guy that every Sunday morning he's going to smile, he's going to know my name, he's going to follow up on the conversation a little bit. So the leaders that actually worked the tables,
it was awesome for relational ministry, and it's tough. It was tougher for during the sermons, during the messages. Kids they talk more at tables than they do in rows, and is that frustrating as a communicator? It is. I mean, and there was a lot of times we had to walk around and tell people to, be quiet.
Part of the question talked about keeping the conversation going, and I know that Jess, you've worked on some stuff that physically goes on the table to help people with questions and whatever. Talk a little bit about that.
Way to include your state. I could tell you're going, Matt's talking a long time. Let's get Jessica in the game.
Jessica in here. Let's get some wisdom in here.
Well, I think a great way. I think a great way to involve a volunteer and empower them is to set them up to win in those situations. Mm-hmm. We know how hard it is for a leader to come in and be super intimidated by high schoolers. I think our ministry can be really intimidating for high schoolers because high schoolers are kind of just checking you out and seeing if you care and if you're willing to stay there, and they might think you're weird at first for approaching them. I think a table setting is a great one because the volunteer's kind of already pastoring that table, like you were saying, and so the student's like, "Oh, you're already sitting at this table. You're not approaching me quite just yet." But even on the table and even setting up elements within the service of, if you have the opportunity to have tables, maybe having staging on the table, a couple of really cool icebreakers or conversation starters, and you allow a time during the intro part after like an opening song or after maybe a game that you lead up front that might not be necessarily including every table, you maybe allow for a time to, okay, now we're going to hand it over to table leaders, and maybe they can run a small and simple, does not need tons of prep, kind of get to know you, introduce yourself. Let's talk a little bit about what happened this week. There are different opportunities even from stage. I think we don't get to do this because our setup is total theater style. We don't really get to move our chairs. But I even remember visiting.
Whoever designed that thing did
totally dropped the ball. Didn't value tables at all.
That is not true.
I know.
Because there's half of the room is set up for tables. Some people have just chosen to abandon philosophy.
Right.
So it's all right.
Right.
It's all right.
Well,
just filling it with lost people.
But even looking at the idea, oh gosh. But even looking at, I remember learning.
Flying squirrels, get them every time.
Shoot.
But even I remember visiting the youth ministry at Saddleback before I was ever a part of it, and there were actual table games where whatever game was happening up front, a table participated.
That's an easy way to divide up
teams. That
teams.
gives a volunteer an opportunity to lead their table, to give some instructions. I think setting a volunteer up where they're able to own a piece of that time is so powerful. To be able to say, I'm going to empower you by giving you a piece of time where the pastor is not seen as a leader in this room. You're seen as a leader in this room. It is so beneficial.
One of the things that Jess does really well too, even at like a volunteer meeting where we have an official training, she's got 3 discussion questions on a table tent right in the middle of there. So there's always questions. You always have a starting point for a conversation right there on the table. And it's a piece of paper folded in half into a tent. So it's nothing fancy.
Very fancy.
On cardstock that is colored.
On cardstock. It's
There you go.
high
There
end.
you go. That has
So we're talking
elements
about
of a flying squirrel. That's just don't
Yeah,
say you're not
it's
creative.
getting there.
Don't say you're not a dreamer.
So literally, it's a nickel idea, but it helps set your volunteers up to win.
Yeah.
It ties into the message, or maybe one of them is just for fun. Just keep the conversation going. Yeah.
You know, in the ministries that we've all been a part of, you know, one of our deeper goals is to get them into a small group where they're known, loved, cared for, that they can.
You guys still do small groups, or have you ditched that too?
I'm thinking about a new way. It's called Sunday School. I think it's going to be
It's being more revealing. And, you know, one of the ideas with the tables, using the tables at an entry-level program, we've talked about that being, you know, artificial community, that you're really kind of forcing it, you're trying to get it started, that ultimately we want to move them from artificial community to a more authentic community. And tables does break that ice. It gets them out of the rows where you're actually forcing one another
looking
to make
at each other,
Yeah.
natural conversation. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, big fans of tables.
I love it.
This is a question from Mark Eads. Mark says, been working hard to encourage my awesome youth leaders lately. One of the things that I'm running into on a regular basis is figuring out how to encourage the leaders who are just, different. They're good with kids.
Everybody's different.
They honor the relationship. They get the ministry purpose, but their personality and my personality are just different. Well, where many of I was going to say
everyone in McGill's ministry ever.
where many of my leaders are encouraged from spoken words or written words, I just can't find a way to encourage these others. Do you have any suggestions on how to encourage those leaders who are just so different from you?
Stop calling them different.
Here's what I would say. I would just throw out there a general principle. You need different. You need people that are different than you. I mean, I was thinking about even just as speaking to teenagers, I do a lot of the speaking. Our students need someone other than me. They need different.
You bet they do.
They need someone else.
And they need Bible, those kids.
Amen. And they don't get it from me. I think in some ways celebrate the craziness, the diversity, even the weird interpersonal stuff that you don't connect, whatever. Like, there are going to be kids in your youth ministry and students that you are responsible for that do not connect with you. So, and there will be leaders like that too.
Right.
I don't know. I would just say celebrate the difference instead of
Find
identify
something
it.
to. I mean, you could find something to that person is passionate about. You could be interested in something that they're interested in, and you don't have to hang out with them every week or once a month or whatever. But you can. People that are different from you, you can see what makes them tick, and I think that's a great way to.
Let me throw this out there. Is it okay to have a different relationship with some leaders than others? Like, we always talk about doing life with your leaders and caring for your volunteers. And is it okay if you don't click with them as a friend and you're not doing life with them, or you think they're a little bit whatever?
Well, it's impossible not. I mean,
exactly.
The question, you can only have so many close friends. You can only have whatever that number is. Maybe it's a little different from person to person, but you can't be super close with everybody on your youth team unless it's you and your wife. I would hope that you guys are really close.
Let me read between the lines a little bit on the question. I think they're weird. I think they're weird people. They're not different.
They're freaks of nature, of course.
I think
They're
he's
quirky.
embarrassed by them. He or
think
she. I'm
they
sorry.
may be
It's
quirky.
Mark Eads.
Mark. Okay. I
My
think.
wow
we know
buddy,
we
World
know
of
Mark.
Warcraft.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's weird.
I don't know why. Everyone that plays video games is not
different.
weird. You think that this is true, but
I think if you're looking at
50%
your
of this
leadership
podcast-
team and you're looking at these, you got 10 people on your team and you're looking at those two and they are the bottom two.
bottom in regards to what though? He says they're great youth workers.
well then embrace them
different.
and stop.
Yeah, if they're
I'm reading between the lines and saying there's something.
I'll tell you,
weird
when I read it the first time, here's what I thought. Sometimes you can use words or you can use letters, like he's talking about, to affirm people, and they don't respond the same way.
Yeah.
So you could actually use words. Boy, I really appreciate it, and thank you so much. And I love watching you serve.
Right.
And they just they don't take it in the same way a words person would take it in.
People have
hanging
different
on
love
And
languages, don't they?
Mark may be giving the type of encouragement that he likes to receive, and it means something to them, but it just doesn't light them up.
Yeah,
So,
gifts always work.
Yeah, DYM gift
Seriously.
certificates. When are we going to do that?
DYM
We
gift
should probably do
certificates.
that. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, well, you just keep.
You know
giving
what?
everything
Seth
away.
has finally joined us for the podcast, and I feel like we've been off our game. He's been over in
Hey
the
Seth,
corner.
how's the sound working?
Yeah,
I can hear it.
Both channels.
You can hear it in
Because
both your
sometimes
ears?
when you're not here and Parker is, our podcasts go blank.
yeah.
So we've had 1.5.
One.
1.5 times.
How come
Parker.
it stopped recording? Where's the red light?
Okay.
Question from Daryl Vaughn.
Hi, Daryl.
Is that how you say Vaughn? What do you think?
Yeah, Vaughn.
Vaughan.
Vaughan. Vaughan.
The
Vince's,
G's.
Vaughan.
Vince's younger brother.
What are the guidelines you follow in your student ministry for PDA, public display of affection,
Yes.
between students? Do you post it in writing? Do you verbalize it periodically? Do you show pictures? No, just kidding. Or do you just
Don't do this.
address it when it happens?
No pun intended.
Well done.
Puns are great.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we don't have anything in writing.
Don't put
We
anything
don't
in writing.
post anything
That's first to
anywhere.
know.
Yeah.
But we definitely have at training with our volunteers is these are the things that are considered inappropriate,
Yep.
and these are the things that you go
Do you let students hold
lovingly
hands in your small groups?
and quietly.
I
Like
would
when you're
talk.
meeting in high
There's a couple this past weekend at youth group, and they were comfortable, and
I love that. How do you come up with these diplomatic words?
she
Were
was
they sitting on one
basically
another's
on top
laps?
of him. And I just diplomatically went over and
Is that
said,
the balcony?
"No, they were in the right hand side, like third
In a
row." I'm
row?
like,
Those
"Yes."
rows are this
I know.
small.
If they had tables,
that-
it would be all better.
Rick and Kay Warren?
So I just had to go over and say, "Hey, just be cool." And they were like, "Blah, blah, blah." But whatever.
Hey,
cool.
hey, be cool.
Hey,
Hey,
be cool.
be cool. And
Because
they
they
knew
were
what you were talking
literally
about.
on
And
top
he's
of
going,
him.
Embrace
I am.
Yeah,
What do you think?
no.
Come on.
Yeah.
Jessica's fiance is here. Should
Yes.
we have him come
Demonstrate.
over here?
Demonstrate.
You guys demonstrate
Yeah.
what's appropriate,
This
what's
is
inappropriate.
Oh,
Edgar.
no. Oh,
That is
he has
great.
the Altoids
There's some
here.
Altoids in
There's
here.
some Altoids.
So anyhow,
ready.
I think it's relational. I think it can be casual. The expectation needs to be high and clear.
Yes.
Of
But
what
explain
is
high
appropriate.
expectation. What if two kids are holding hands at church?
I don't
Say
think that's a
anything?
big deal. No.
Okay.
But in some cultures, that needs to be one of the high expectations. In ours, I would say absolutely not.
Right.
But
It-
sitting too close, being super uncomfortable, making
arm
out, all that
over the
stuff.
shoulder,
Yes.
embracing.
Yes.
We
Is
would
okay or
definitely
not okay?
Not okay.
Not
I'll
okay.
demonstrate with Doug.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, buddy. No.
Appropriate. Still
Inappropriate.
good.
What about the hand on the shoulder? Because I get that a lot.
You do get that a lot.
I get that
Oh,
one a
gosh.
lot.
So I would say we also in our like camp rules we would say, hey, don't do X,
purple.
Y, and Z, whatever.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so leaders are told you need to address these things. You walk over, a tap on the shoulder. Hey, could you guys not be blah blah blah, whatever it was.
Yep.
And then if it happens again, you're allowed to go back and say, you need to stop right now. Like be
absolutely.
a lot firmer.
Yeah.
So there's a gentle, hey, we want you to focus and
Are you helping them understand, though? I mean, are we painting the picture of why that's happening, or are we just saying don't touch each other in
That's a
public?
fair question.
That's a tough part because it will usually go up to them during the sermon, which would be an interesting moment to try and have like,
Hey,
let's
get
have
your
a
tongue out of
moment
his
to
mouth.
answer. Here's why. You know,
Yeah.
it just is a little.
Yeah, I don't
use
think
the
we
word
make
distraction. I say, hey, it is a huge distraction for you guys and for everybody else around you. And
Yeah.
so, if you're here to make the most out of your time, like this just isn't the right place
Yeah.
for it. We had, in all the years at Saddleback, there's never really that many couples. I mean, once she said something a few times, or even once, twice at the most, it was so funny because when I went to Mariners. And even I was just checking out the ministry. There was a couple. We had winter retreat. There was this one couple, and they were off the side. And I was like, "Holy, what's going on with those guys?" And the leaders were like, "Yeah, no, they're always like that." And so I walked over and I mean, it was one of those things that it's driving me crazy
Yeah.
from a discipleship standpoint. Like it just, I had to say something. Well, they were part of the ministry and they kind of cooled things down. But a couple months later, once I was there, we did the stations. We have it. It's actually on DYM. We have these 15 stations to experience God and pray and creative, all this stuff. Well, they both showed up, and I actually told them, you guys need to go home. And they looked at me like, what are you talking about? I go, yeah, you guys are all over each other. Are you kidding me? You're not going to focus on what's going on here. And so they're like, yeah, no, we will, we promise we will. And I'm like, great, you start. 10 minutes later, you can jump in. And 4 times that night, I still had to say something.
Yeah.
And
wow.
But you got to keep on it. That's the thing is because these guys, they were seniors, and literally through their years of ministry, all the leaders just gave up on saying something to them.
Wow. I like kicking them
Well,
out.
part of it too is you gotta understand what's the purpose of our program. If it's an evangelistic program, then to me, I'm much more liberal.
Procreation might be okay.
Yeah, all you non-believers, we got a bedroom in the back here.
Just kidding, Edgar. Just kidding.
Hey,
Fadi walked in here.
Fadi walked. Is that because
Hello,
Matt was
Fadi?
too loud? Is he squawking?
Interrupt the whole office.
I know. I feel bad. Yeah.
No, you did it.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
The DYM servers all shut down.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
DYM studios are in a what you call this, a high quality office suite.
Yes.
Office park.
And
we're in a sweet.
and Fadi lets us office out of here, and Matt
It's
comes
so
in.
disrespectful. Well, I'm sorry.
Does not abide
sometimes
by the
you guys
rules.
say funny things.
Yeah.
just put your hand on his shoulder, even though that's PDA. Let's
Try it.
move on.
All right. This is
PDA.
from Daryl from Rochester, Washington. I have a full-time job. I work part-time as a pastor.
Awesome.
Sounds like Josh.
Hardest working part-time you'd pastor out there.
Yeah. That is my number one complaint.
That is the number
That
one.
is my number one complaint.
What's that?
Hey,
Part-time pastor.
on the PDA thing, if you have a lot of stuff in writing, if you talk about it a lot from the stage to your whole group, to me it's a waste because it doesn't apply to everybody. And so that's just one thing I'd say.
When you were in high school, you were all over your girlfriend.
And that's not true. I remember.
What do you remember?
Sarah or Lindsay? Which one? Look at it turning a little bit red right
No,
now.
not at all. It was Anisha. That's right. No, I was not. Are you serious? You're
No,
just,
you.
yeah. of
Ever
course.
since you've been asexual, ever since I've known you.
Oh, it's on the record now. My name's Matt. I'm a eunuch.
That's the new. That's the new DYM kit right
New
there.
t-shirt.
The eunuch choirs kit.
Here we go. Next question.
Yeah, the new emails coming in will be Matt.
Sorry.
Sorry, you're a eunuch.
We got a t-shirt.
So this is Daryl.
What's horrible about that statement is there's nothing you can say, right? It's like, no, I'm not. Oh, wait, crap. Well, what am I?
No, you'd be like, no, I'm not. It's too far. We're going too far. We're too far. Let's reel it in.
Asexual doesn't necessarily mean you're a eunuch.
No, I
That's
realize
right.
that. But I'm trying to say is that it's just a great, it's just a great line because there's no response back. It's like a maze with no way out of it. It's great. It's perfect. It's like the
A
labyrinth
maze with
and the
no-
monitor. It's awesome.
All right, this is Daryl from Rochester, Washington. Full-time job, part-time as a pastor. I've been doing this for 13 years. Marriage, kids, friends. Basically, I'm doing the same juggling routine as many pastors. So I'm always looking for ways to improve organization, time management, and efficiency.
You've come to the wrong.
Wow.
So I'll sit this one out.
Seriously.
I read the book by David Allen called Getting Things
a
Done,
good book.
which Matt has done.
Read about half of it.
The second half's on a to-do list somewhere.
And I'm using Evernote on my iPad to
right.
work that system. What are some of your favorite life hacks, habits, tricks to make you more efficient and manage your time and projects better? Thanks for DYM. I just signed up last week. I'm digging it.
Oh, for
That's
membership,
awesome.
that's great.
Great.
That's great. There is a graphics designer, which I'm not going to say his name right. It's David Seah. Do you know who that
Never
is?
heard of him, no.
David Seah, I think, but davidseah.com. He's got some cool free templates that I think are really helpful for managing time and thinking stuff through. But so check out that website if you want. I mean, you're doing it. I mean, if you've read a book and you're going to stick to that system where you're file archiving, delete. What is it? Who knows?
So you got nothing, is what you're saying.
No, what I'm trying to say. Well, what I was going to say is that the biggest thing is to stick to a system. The most difficult thing is when you're changing from system to system to system to system. You know that you're not going to stay organized. I mean, if you're using Evernote, you can keep your life totally organized in Evernote.
Okay, so what are some of the things that, you're probably the most, between you, me, and Josh, you're the most organized, not as productive, but you're the most organized. You give the appearance of...
You certainly don't work as hard. We know that.
That's
The little that you have been given,
you're
very organized.
I'm very organized on the small...
Yeah.
We're just stalling this.
What's happening
Just catching
here?
up,
All right,
guys.
so Jess, what do you got?
You are the most organized asexual leader we know.
I'm not organized. The only other thing I'd say, I mean, I like the getting things done is good. It's a good system. I like it. I have used at different points in my life. I use the David Seow stuff where you think through a day. What am I going to do today, and get it done, and you track your time. I read some book by some admiral, general, something, but I don't read very many of these books, and it was awesome for this guy is explaining how he conducted wars and whatever. It's very interesting historically, but what he said at what he did every morning, he took out an index card and his 3 biggest opportunities and his 3 biggest threats, not threats like in a military way.
Iraq.
Yeah, not like that, but what are the 3 things I don't want to do today? And I didn't hear what she said, but I wish I did. But I have done that at different times, not necessarily every day, but where I've thought, okay, what are the 3 things that need to happen this week, or the 3 most important, and what are 3 things that are the traps that are the heat? Like this podcast, obviously, is on the heat sink trap. Often just going, what happened to my productivity for that hour we were in there? No, but
I see. I pictured, by you saying that, I picture our buddy Jerry Varner,
Yep.
who listens to this during lunch.
Right.
It stimulates ideas, thinking whether
totally.
a podcast, something like this is actually a good use of a distracting 45 minutes.
totally
Good use of distracting.
The great sentence.
Yeah.
Hey, give us some life hacks. Give us some. What are the tips and tricks that you use?
Is she pretty organized?
Incredibly
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Look
I
at her
try.
fiance Edgar's like,
Yeah.
But look at he was smirking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. The people that aren't organized.
What do you got?
Well,
Weigh in with some practical stuff.
You have to stick to your calendar. I put everything on my calendar, and I put everything on my calendar because then I know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow, and I'm not like double booking myself, and then I'm like not making it to a family event, and I hate having to cancel on people that I love like that. And I think that question, it goes even a little bit deeper, like to the heart of how can I really stay at this pace for as long as I have to live? Like, I think the heart of that is, I'm trying to do everything. How can I get everything done? And I think a really good question to ask yourself is, am I building in healthy habits where I can actually make it for the long haul? Because we could tell you, like, put everything in your calendar and make a list of everything. But you made a really great point, which is, what are my priorities?
Right.
What do I really want to make sure that I accomplish today? What are the things that really matter to me at the end of the week, at the end of the month? And then you have to learn to say no to a few things and be okay with the fact that you're not going to be able to do that. Maybe you have to delegate a few things. I think that's my heart when I listen to someone who's saying, I love ministry, but I also have a job and I have a family and I have other things that I'm invested in. How do I get all of it done? And the very human and sad answer is you can't get everything done. And so it's setting those priorities and then organizing yourself with the things that you have chosen to get done and setting up those boundaries for yourself where you can rest and you can spend time with people that you love, but also be productive.
Yeah, I mean, I think like it's a strong statement, but I think, you've got some good ideas in there. Mm-hmm. Is that if you are really wishing I had more hours in the day, I mean, when you really, really, I mean, it's one thing to just say that, in passing, and it's just a generalized comment. But if you really think, and I need more hours in the day, that's blasphemy. Because the truth is that there is so many minutes in the day, and I don't know how many there are, but there happens to be 24 hours, which is good. God has the right amount of stuff planned for you. There's not too many minutes. There's not too few minutes. There is the right amount of minutes to get done what God wants you to have done that day. And to put this pressure on yourself to please, to feel like that you have to say yes to everything, to never take any kind of rest or Sabbath. I mean, you're going to burn minutes. You're going to burn hours doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing and creating more pressure and creating there's less peace. You're just going to feel like you're spinning your wheels.
Right.
I ripped off many years ago Stephen Covey's 7 Habits for Highly Effective People, and I'm just looking at PDYM chapter 17, Balancing the Demands of Your Time. And where he was really helpful is where he talks first about determine your roles. Mm-hmm. And so once you know your roles, so child of God, husband, father, friend, employee, whatever it is, then you block out the non-negotiables in the meetings based on your roles. So what I did is I took that concept and I went, I'm a teacher. Unfortunately, I'm an administrator.
Unfortunately.
I'm a pastor, so I've got teaching time responsibilities. I've got administrative responsibilities. I've got pastoring responsibility. I've got leader responsibilities, and then I've got all the personal domains. Sure. Mm-hmm. So when you block out those roles and then say, okay, if there's 5 key roles as a part of your job and you're going to work 50 hours a week, can you, in an ideal world, do you need to balance that?
Yeah.
So I've got 10 hours for teaching and prep, 10 hours for relational ministry, 10 hours for leadership development, 10 hours for
administration.
Ugh.
Yeah, 3 hours.
Yeah,
it'll take care of
itself. Everything doesn't balance out to that. So, but
3 hours, 7.
I like that.
In back of PDYM, I actually put a
in a beautiful taco salad font.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, on page
But those,
386.
blocks of
the
time.
blocks of time, how you use that. Where for me, at my busiest, when I would spend some time on a Sunday night in preparation for the week, I can remember thinking, gosh, this takes a long time to really think it through based on my roles and goals and to-do lists. Yeah. But when I blocked it all out, even though it maybe took me 45 minutes to an hour, it saved me so much time, just peace of mind. I knew when I was going to tackle the big rocks in my schedule, what those appointments were. Doesn't mean you don't deviate or flex from that. But anyway,
things just come
that's
up.
a helpful tool.
But yeah, and just a thought about that is when you do take that 45 minutes and you can see your whole week and you know it's going to be a heavy week, that allows you to say, I can't do that this week when something does come up, but can I do it next week? I can't
go visit you in the hospital. I have
right. I'm so sorry your mother is dying, but I can't make it. No, but it allows you to say, can we talk about that next week? Can this wait till next week? Yeah. And it gives you that freedom because you can see the bigger picture and you're starting to figure out what you can and cannot allow for in your life.
Yeah. Well, and I think we all, are guilty of packing too many to-dos, and we don't have that space to be. I mean, I know
to-bes.
I'm totally guilty of that. That I tend to put more. Josh and I have that in common. We are the time optimists.
Yeah.
It's Josh just is later to things than I am. I think
that's the best way.
I tend to
get more things done.
Not wound people.
Just create a culture where it's expected you're going to be late.
That's great.
Magic done. Can I throw out a couple more super practical ones? You guys went a little more higher level. I was just thinking of something like Inbox Zero, where you ruthlessly delete your email.
Doesn't work.
It is incredible.
Doesn't work.
I get 300 emails a day. There's 38 in my inbox.
None of the ones I send him were ever replied to.
Delete.
No, he doesn't reply to mine.
Yours are there. It works.
Doesn't work.
Go ahead. It totally works. Ruthlessly delete. Inbox0.com is something to check out. And I would say,
it's a myth. It doesn't work for. It's just that there's no one way to do email. That's one.
Here's one way. Ruthlessly delete. That is a system that works.
Yeah, Mailstorm is a good. It does.
Yeah, have you tried the BS method? Because that's pretty much what you're giving right now.
Wait a minute, what is BS?
Bible study.
Okay. Okay, you had a couple things.
No,
I'm done now.
You're done now.
Shut down.
Oh wow!
Wow.
That was like not even a fifth of what I get every minute on
I
this
just
show.
saved myself 3 minutes.
Passive aggressive right there.
Yes, this is where the spirit of his part-time comes in. Part-time
Take
and
my toys and go home.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I can tell when I'm not wanted.
We've done staff sheets.
Okay, let's pause for a second and talk
pause on
about.
this.
There is no way you get to zero
Every
on
day?
your email.
every day.
Inbox Zero is a clever name for the process of how it works.
Oh, so you don't actually get to
What
zero.
you do is you ruthlessly delete, you reply immediately, or you put in your to-do list. I have 38 in my to-do. I've replied to everything short-term that I can, and I have ruthlessly deleted.
What about the ones where you go, I got to think about that.
It's in my 38.
That's a to-do.
That's
in my to-do. So it's inboxes at zero.
Have you read Getting Things Done?
Yeah, but the problem
you
with
might like it.
The problem with that is that then you just never get to your to-do list, though.
No, that you block a time to do your to-dos.
Yeah, you chip away at the 38.
So
I was at
your
74
email,
this morning.
you come to your email with two. You got two mindsets. One is I'm going to blitzkrieg through stuff, and then the other mindset is I'm going to actually crank and work on a few things.
Here's the other principle off of email. I would say just figure out ways to double dip on everything that you do, and I'll explain it really quickly. If you have to
be present at anything.
If you,
Sorry, is that where you're going to go?
Again, here we
no,
go
I was just
again.
gonna say everything that you do, let it have.
Fadi's doing email right now.
Let it have
double dipping.
No, like if you have to have an oil change, we all have to go get our oils changed or whatever.
What?
Take a student with you. Double dip. Now you're doing relational ministry and you're
Right.
getting a task done. If you're gonna go to a ball game, you go to the third and fourth quarter of a girls' basketball game. Great, take a student with you. Or if you're writing a devotional for FCA that you're going to teach out on Monday, divide that into something that you can use into the future as text message devotions for your students, or whatever. Pick a series that you want to do.
Multiple channels, yeah.
Just I think being wise.
How do I
with
get
your
rid of my
time.
email, though? I can't double dip on that.
Inbox zero.
Look,
It
every email,
works.
it's the new relational, dude. Every email is a relational touch with somebody. So just like you used to
Here's
work
what you
the
need to
room
know.
and say hi to everybody in
I-
the room, it's the same
I try
thing
to
with
double dip,
emails.
like I'll watch The Biggest Loser
Yeah.
with something that doesn't require much effort.
Yeah.
And I'll try to go through email. I can just never catch up with email.
Yeah, as long as you answer mine, you're fine.
telling
Staff
you.
sheet is a good thing too, where we would do at different times where we would track hours, like every hour go, hey, what did you do for the last hour? Or every 4 hours, what did you do? And then at the end of the week, you could look back and say, oh, this is where I really spent my time, and it's a good evaluation to be like, oh man, I wasted a lot of time.
I put everything in my calendar too, and did when I worked. Partly because I worked at a church. My first church I was at for 11 years. There was people in my church that were accused of affairs, and actually had some. And I learned it early in my 20s. I thought, if somebody ever wanted to accuse me of something, they would have to. They would have to be very strategic with my
Right.
calendar because I put
You have to
everything
have plenty
in
of
there.
alibis in your calendar of where
I
you've
just
been
had
all week long.
appointments, phone.
Yeah.
I just
agree.
I know
type
Josh
it in
even
real-
always tells me, let's say a surprise appointment comes up, add it on your calendar after.
After the
Make
fact
sure that
even.
you're documenting everything
and I
you did
hate
and
the
where you
calendar.
were.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Hey,
Living
we're
by
gonna
standing
we're gonna end
appointments.
with this. This is actually good news. This is from Andy Laurison in Nags Head, North
actually
Carolina.
We've had nothing but good news.
I know.
Why do you
He
use
says,
the word
"Hey
actually?
team, sorry you got canned, Matt. I'm so stoked.
Sorry, you're eunuch. Matt.
Actually, sorry
I
you got
just
canned."
registered for the refuel retreat."
Yay,
Oh,
leader
awesome.
truck.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he goes on to talk about how excited he is after 20 years in youth ministry. He's
Oh,
really looking
awesome.
forward to it. A smaller, more intimate setting. His wife is going. She's not going to the conference. She's just going to get away with him.
That's
Nice.
good.
Yeah.
Which one are they
Love
going to?
that.
Polly Island, I think. Yeah, Polly
Oh,
Island.
nice.
That
Is that the
one.
one
You
you're
went
going?
to
Yes.
Leader
You've
Treks.
been to
Oh,
this.
quick
Yeah.
testimony.
Oh,
Well, he
Testimony.
says thanks to DYM for plugging the Leader Treks retreat.
It's a great
Awesome.
retreat. It was so great. It's awesome. There is an emphasis every morning, like a spiritual emphasis for yourself. So we did some
time management.
we did a little bit of life mapping. We got a little bit of time and just some scripture that was given to us to be able to reflect for an hour on our own. We came back and then shared with a small table. My Polly's Island retreat only had like 20 people. It was
Yeah.
incredible. And then
Which
we
is
took one of our
awesome.
interns
Yeah.
with us. It was just the two of us. It was incredible. And the place that you stay at Polly's is we had like an apartment to ourselves, just
Right.
the two of us. It was
Right.
awesome. And then you take a small break and you come back and you have like an emphasis of ministry to talk about for
Yeah.
a few hours. And then after lunch, you're off for the whole afternoon and the whole
Yeah.
evening.
So it is a quiet
it's
retreat. Slow down.
you'll get to
That's-
spend so
Plenty
much
of time
time
to
with
go
your
see
wife.
RoboCop.
Exactly.
Yes.
You will get to spend so much time with your spouse at that retreat.
It's called the Refuel
awesome.
Retreat. It's by one of our sponsors, leadertreks.com,
Thank you,
where they've
Leader Treks.
given you DYM as the code for 17% off.
That's right.
I wonder if you
right.
get 17% off the retreat.
It's only like $99, isn't it?
It's
Isn't it
so
super cheap?
inexpensive.
Yeah, it's real cheap.
For what
So,
you're getting, it's so inexpensive.
Which email? We should have them right back. when they go, let us know what their experience is, so we could read that too.
That's great. Okay.
Because my
Good
experience
idea.
wasn't enough, Matt.
Okay.
Jessica,
yours
I think
was
for the first time,
I like it.
home run.
Yeah.
What do
Home
you mean
run.
for the first time.
For the
First
first
time
time on the
myself.
show.
I'm here for the first time.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't referring. I didn't. He could be referring to several things about first.
But we all
time,
knew.
So I'm
We all knew.
clarifying.
Everyone
I just
here.
wanted to
What
make
we're
it
talking
awkward
about,
for
but
all of you.
I love the fact that you gave it to
Done.
back a little
Always.
bit. I know he's an easy target. Anyway,
Yeah.
Jessica, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you
why
for
is that
having me.
special?
for being
That's
here.
It was great.
Just
fun.
because she wasn't shy about giving you stuff at all. We're hoping, everybody,
lonely
that
at
the
the
sound worked. Parker's here, so we're not exactly sure. If you want to hear Parker's voice, because his stuff always works.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. We'll do the shirts next time. We've got a box
We
of
got a
shirts.
few minutes.
Oh, fun.
Anyway, but
What
you
shirts
go
do
on,
we get?
go
Next
see
week?
go see Space Kitten on DYM, and you'll hear Parker's voice.
Gosh.
All Parker's videos work,
They're amazing.
but when
All
he
of
does
them.
the show,
He does the show.
The only
Not so
thing
much.
that doesn't work.
Guys.
anyway.
Maybe you should invite me on the show one day.
Bless you.